This is your host, Jess Mogapo, and welcome to the show, Veterans Roundtable. The show is made possible through the sponsorship of the Filipino American Retired U.S. Armed Forces Association in cooperation with the management of the Vallejo Community Access Television, Channel 27. Tonight, our topic, we're going to be talking about the Vallejo Veterans, the Vallejo Veterans Council, the importance of our recruiting effort to beef up our membership, and we're going to touch on the viability of the Vallejo Veterans Building as a convention center, entertainment center, and a place to meet and hold functions. And then we are going to go into the part two of the show, which will be about things that are coming up in the next month or two. So we continue to improve the show, and we continue to get information to you that is relevant to the veterans and the veterans' families. As you know, in Vallejo, we have many veterans. And the shipyard not only was the economic engine, but it was also home to many servicemen who, upon receipt of assignment to Vallejo, have decided to reside in Vallejo. In addition to that, the Vallejo area has been able to, over the years, even though the bases have been closed, our veterans organizations has remained active. For example, we have American Legion, Post 104. We have Post 550 and 603. So we have three different groups for you to pick from if you are a veteran and you are watching the show and you are not currently a member of any of these organizations. We also have the Disabled American Vets, 21. We have the Filipino American U.S. Armed Forces Association. We have the Fleet Reserve, Area 8. Now, some of these units are have criteria, so depending on your branch of service, you have to pick the right organization. We also have the submarine veterans, veterans of foreign wars, 1123. So altogether, there's 8 groups. Years ago, our home was the building on Marine and Alabama. And that building is no longer according to code, mainly health code because of the asbestos in the building. And so the Veterans Group acquired 420 Admiral Callahan Lane. That's the current Veterans Memorial Building, which collectively as a group, we do our very best to maintain. And if you've never visited the building or if you've not been in the building in some time, you will find that it is presentable. A lot of tender loving care, if you will, has been put into the building. And it's now a real viable venue for entertainment, convention, meetings, whatever you need it for. There are 3 separate rooms that you could rent. There's a dance hall, a dining hall, a meeting room, and there's a bar at the center of the building which is licensed. And so in your event, should you desire to consume alcoholic beverages, that would be available to you. It just depends on the type of event that you are having in the building. And folks, that building is owned by Solano County. The county does not pay for everything, and so we have to sustain our own operations. Our overhead consists of utilities, just like anyone else. We pay our electric bills and garbage bills, water bill, and money has to come from somewhere. Those funds are not currently provided for by the county. So we continue to rent the facility, and right now we're right in the middle of the crab feed season, which is our major fundraiser. So if someone's selling you a ticket to go to one of our crab feeds, please do so, because the part of the proceeds goes to the maintenance and upkeep of this Veterans Memorial Building. Again, let me mention the organizations. 3 American Legions, Post 104, 550-603. If you're interested in joining the Disabled American Vets, it's DAV 21, the Farusafa, the Fleet Reserve Area 8, Submarine Vets, and the Veterans of Foreign Wars 1123. So instead of giving you 8 names and 8 points of contact, you may just contact me directly at 707-333-8850. Again, the number is 707-333-8850. Jess Malgapo. I'll be glad to connect you with the right group and the right folks, so you could join us and become a member. So in the coming weeks and months, there's a variety of activities around the area. Some of our events are published in the Vallejo Times-Herald, and we have not done so this year by far, but we also intend to seek the help of VCAT so we could put our events on the bulletin board. So please keep an eye out for that. This show is taped once a month, and we come to your homes, into your living rooms on Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. Our upcoming shows, we also, if you are interested, you're a nonprofit group, you are working on promoting a fundraiser, an event that affects the community, you may contact us and we will see what kind of assistance we would provide you. Of course, anything I do as your host, I'll have to clear with VCAT management, but do give me a call if you think I can help you, and we will see what could be done. In the coming program tapings, on the 9th of February, we will have the officers of the Filipino American community. They have the annual festival on the waterfront. It's still kind of early. That occurs in the month of June. But I want to bring him to the show early so they can tell you what to expect, tell you the time and date. And the one thing big about this event is the ability of the event to bring about 40,000 visitors to our city. And anytime people come visit us, that turns into revenue for our vendors, for our local businesses. So that is a very good thing. And the Veterans Roundtable Show is very willing and happy to help that group. On the 9th of March, I know it's a ways out there, we have a gentleman who has taken over as the head of Veterans Services. He is the head of Veterans Services. His name is Mr. Ted Pontillo. I hope I'm saying his name correctly. And he has a wealth of information that we will share with you on March 9th when we do that particular taping. So keep an eye out for that. Also, the things have been happening, and I'm turning off my cell phone so I don't interrupt the show. Um, Things are happening around our community that not only affects the veterans in our community, but people in general. For example, you may or may not be aware, but there's been some redistricting going on, which basically means just a redistribution of area of responsibility for our public officials. In Solano County, for example, we participate in selecting our leaders for District 1 and 2. District 1 is primarily North Vallejo. District 2 is South Vallejo, south of Georgia Street. But what's different this year, and it has been approved and official, is we now have, and if you live in Vallejo, you're going to know this, we have Georgia Street, Oakwood to the west, Tennessee to the north, and all of Columbus Parkway all the way down toward Benicia. All that area now belongs to District 1. So we're sharing information. Also at the end of the year, the state of California has also redistricted. And the change there is Vallejo in particular, and I won't go over the rest of the cities in the county, but Vallejo in particular will be under the district of Congressman Mike Thompson. He is our direct representative in Washington, D.C., and he can do a lot for us. And I will just tell you that I don't have any commitments, but I'm working very, very hard to bring Congressman Mike Thompson to VCAT and to this particular show so we could talk to him. And I've met him. He's very interested in reaching out to our communities. The event that I attended was a very simple kind of a town hall meeting, but it's in someone's private home with just a handful of citizens. And folks, if he is willing to take the time and talk to a small group like that, what more about coming to VCAT and reaching a wider audience? And he's just that kind of a guy. And folks, the reason we want to bring him to the show, I happen to know that he is a former member of the United States Army, and he wears the CIB pin, which indicates that he was a member of the Combat Infantry Battalion. That group served in Vietnam, so we would love to have him on the show. So these are some of the things that we are trying to do to improve our show. Also, there's a gentleman by the name of Ruben Soto. He is one of the senior reps of the Veterans Medical Facility in in Martinez at the VA clinic there. I don't know everything, and I know some of you, everything keeps changing. For example, TRICARE. At one time, those of you that were in the service ahead of me got promised medical care for life with no co-pays or no contributions. And as you know now, myself included, I pay an amount of money to cover me and my wife for medical needs. Even though at the beginning of our enlistment, we were told we won't have to do that. So everything is changing. And again, and this ties into Congressman Thompson and my desire to bring him to the show so he can answer some questions for us. The other thing that I am working on, and I hope I can keep this show alive. We have events in the month of May, which is Memorial Day, and Veterans Day in November. Those are citywide events that typically has a little exposure. Attendance is low, around 150. At one time we got it up to about 600, and that's largely because we promoted the event here, right here in VCAT. And through the show, we're able to come to your homes and let you know what that schedule is. And people responded, and it was a very nice event, and the weather was wonderful that night. So these are just some of the things we are doing. Primarily, the show, I was devoting it to recruiting. I want to help my comrades. Again, a variety of organizations to choose from. I'm going to be a bit redundant, but I think it's important that I repeat it to you. We have the American Legion, 104, 550, and 603. Disabled American Vets, 21. For SAFA, Fleet Reserve Area 8. The Submarine Vets, VFW 1123. Oh, and by the way, in the Veterans Building, we do have a house manager. As you drive by the building on Admiral Callahan, you'll see his name, and his name is John Baptista. I don't have his phone number handy, but he's a great guy, and when you sit down with him, he will make sure that all your needs are met and all the rules are explained to you clearly. So we have a little bit more time. Let me tell you about the building, the other bit of information, and that's why we're hoping that you would take a look at it and really consider it as a venue to rent for your next wedding reception, 15th birthday, 18th birthday, anniversaries. The parking lot has been redone. It's beautiful. It meets ADA codes. You won't trip over. It's nice and safe, and there are parking spaces on both sides of the building. So I don't know the exact number, but you can have a nice event up to maybe 250 people, and your guests will never complain about parking. It will be available, and it's going to be a non-issue. So again, more to follow on our schedule. We have the people organizing the Waterfront Festival attending this show on February 9th. We have Mr. Puntillo, head of the Veteran Services in Solano County, Ted Puntillon, I'm sorry, who's going to be joining us on March 9th. And then our dream is to bring Congressman Thompson to you. So we will be working on that and do our very best to bring him to the show. We have a little bit more time remaining, but I think I've spoken and have given you the material I have planned for the show. We could close, and before we do that, I want to thank I want to thank you for watching. Remember that the show is the Veterans Roundtable, dedicated to local veterans. It is sponsored by the Filipino-American Retired U.S. Armed Forces Association. Of course, the show is only possible because VCAT management is allowing us to tape the show and air it and share it with the public. I want to thank my producer, Sabrine Freeman. This show has been on the air for over a year, I believe, and It's been great. We're going strong. I want to thank Anita, Sharon, our camera crew, CP, who is doing all our technical work in the back. And none of these will be possible without their help. I'm just here doing the talking, but it's a great show. Again, we have more to offer. Please keep tuning in on Thursday evenings, 7 p.m. This is your host, Jess Malgapo. Thank you and good night.